Oh my god. There we go. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rune here, back with another Borderlands 4 build video, and today I'll be going over my most updated Ordnance Amon build called Heavy Ordnance Ricochet Bananza Amon, otherwise known as HORBA. This is the strongest Amon build in the game, one-shotting everything and melting bosses in seconds. With the fix to Blackout, we are now dealing even more damage, making this build easier to use and more heavy ordnance options to choose from. You can also find a write-up of my build on Mobalytics, so if reading is more your style, you can also go there, which will be linked in the description. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 4 content, and consider becoming a member to support the channel and get videos early. Now, let's get into it. Alright, and first off, we'll go over the Heavy Ordnance. So my main go-to for mobbing and also works insanely well for bossing is going to be the Hail Spike. This is a 2-shot plus Merv, and we are using this with the high caliber Pierce as it will spawn even more Merv projectiles. So it'll take those 2 shots, go through the enemy. Once it hits the enemy, it'll do the Merv, but then those original projectiles go again, hit the ground or another enemy, and spawn Merv projectiles again, dealing even more damage, making it it's like 16 total projectiles, which is insane. And with this, I have hit, I think, like over 50 million against a test dummy, min-maxing stuff. Of course, if you go against an enemy, no enemy has that much health, so it's kind of irrelevant, but it's really cool. But for my main bossing, for those high damage melts you saw in my clips, we are using the honey bunches. This is a triple barrel plus shrapnel rockets. You just charge up and you shoot, and it will clear everything. Now, before the Blackout fix, I was told if you don't have really good gear, then this won't be consistent with the melt, but it should work fine because I kill enemies so fast with this. It means I am losing damage that could be applied just throughout the dot, so that's really nice. And then we also have stuff like the Utka with explosive rounds and 2-shot, the Atling gun I am really enjoying, and then the bottle lightning is insane for mobbing. The streamer and the disc jockey are good, but something I need to update with this is not have 3 out of 3 high caliber, because this makes Ripper heavy ordnances not deal ordnance damage anymore for some reason on the Pierce. So that's a crazy bug, and probably why this was performing less for me compared to others. But there's still a lot more you can try out, so definitely experiment. And then for the guns, the only thing you really need is going to be the fire launcher. This is only for min-maxing, as this will be a double dipping damage bonus. Just gotta hit the enemy with it, and it's good. Literally all you need is the fire launcher here. And then you could just use any good weapon for Fight for Your Life, since your Heavy Ordnance goes away in Fight for Your Life. Then for the rep kit, we are going the triple bypass, as this gives us multiple charges. You could use it with amp. You could use like a global damage boost, like damage stealth or elemental damage, to go into our double dips, as it's just consistent compared to the amp. I haven't compared them, and I haven't needed the damage to need to. If this gets nerfed, maybe I will, but who knows. But amp is really good for like bossing, for easy those easy first hits, and especially if you want to mess with like one shots with like Hail Spike. Then we are going with class mods. We have the Ice Ringer if you're going against armored or health enemies. We are going with this for the cryo double dip. So Tail of the Comet is a double dip with status effect based off of ordnance and also deals skill damage. So that is going to be a must-have with as many points into that as possible, with then decent passive if possible, but I've done fine without them. Then the other option is going to be the Grenadier. This is new because this is points in Blackout. This is going to allow us to get even more damage on here. This is like Tail of the Comet, where this is a double dip, but it does not benefit from skill damage. Probably a bug, but that's just the case. And this is amazing for shielded enemies. So if you're using shielded enemies, then this is going to be the go-to. This also can roll points into Gut Punch, which is really nice. So if you get one with a lot of points into Blackout plus Gut Punch, you could probably take this out and you could go and get like Ballistic Bulwark here and help survivability a lot, which I'll go over with some shield options. It also will just increase your crit chance with Blackout, which is really nice, as we want to crit with Blackout anyways, but critting is just more damage. Then what's been used in the past is the Cyborg, but it's like really not needed. Um, Maybe with some certain launchers, getting a more Primal Surge or Endless Bombardment. I want to mess with eventually like not getting Primal Surge on this build to save up like 10 skill points, but I haven't gotten around to it, like potentially getting like Electrical Fire, but the damage is not needed, so I haven't touched it. And then the passes for the class mod don't really matter, but like the skill rolls are more important, but you can get like damage dealt or elemental damage or element type that fits what you're doing. And that's really all to really look out for. There's obviously like ordnance damage, gun damage, status effect chance, status effect damage, actual cooldown rate, skill damage, but it's not needed. I guess skill damage could also be a top priority one just for Tail of the Comet. But yeah, the passes don't matter. All this is been with this class mod and this class mod, which isn't doing much at all. And then for the shield, what I like to use with Hail Spike and just like in mobbing with these weapons is going to be the Watts for Dinner. This is going to be for the amp parts on here. There are other shields with amp parts, but this also gives us easy overshield. And when we have overshield, we have shock damage bonus element, which is nice for mobbing. And we keep this up really easily because of Primal Surge restoring our shield. And so also with that, we have the Protein Cell. This is mainly used for bossing, but you can technically use it with mobbing because of Primal Surge. You keep it up infinitely because it drains your shield, but then you're recharging it. So this makes it amazing, but also it does make you take damage directly to your health unless you have Overshield. So if you're using, again, that Blackout Con with Gut Punch, that can be nice for freeing up damage, or just not go this at all, just for more survivability, and get Ballistic Bulwark for some Overshield. Now, what really makes this good for bossing is the Protein Cell bonus element applies to your status effects. Most bonus elements do not apply to status effects. That's just not what they do. So this is what's increasing our damage for bossing a lot. Compared to like this amp, especially if we're not always having amp on every shot, then this is especially going to be really good. And then just an old but good shield is going to be the Super Soldier. It's solid. You get ammo regen, you get movement speed, you get fire rate, all really good stuff, especially the movement speed since your Heavy Ordnance decreases your movement speed. I mean, also the main reason is for the ammo regen because it applies to your Heavy Ordnance, but I like that movement speed. And then you need the siphon part. I have a double roll siphon for the increased chance. This means we're taking damage to our overshield, which leaves our shield to be full, which is very important. All right, and then for the enhancement, the only thing you really need is the gun damage. Gun damage here is an on shot, and so this is molt with most gun damage bonuses. I think in this build, the only thing it is additive with is going to be this high caliber gun damage. So that's a must have, and our Heavy Ordnance gets that. Does not get gun type damage, but it does get general gun damage. It also gets gun splash damage, so that's why we have it here. And you could also get like gun splash radius. Gun equip speed works with it, which is nice utility and quality of life. But really then, just for the enhancement specifically, just do anything that helps your fight for life damage if you can. And then the firmware, if you are using piercing stuff like the Hail Spike, you want 3 out of 3 high caliber. Otherwise, you just want 2 out of 3 high caliber. So I like to have that 3 out of 3 part on my Hail Spike specifically. You still want the 2 out of 3 for that gun damage, and also that projectile speed is pretty nice, I gotta say. But that gun damage is only additive with the enhancement, as I just mentioned. Then you have stuff like Get Thrown for Ordnance plus Splash Radius. You could go Airstrike for Splash Radius. Gadget Ahoy gives some cooldown on your Ordnance if you actually mess up and your Ordnance goes on cooldown. It also gives a little bit of action skill damage. Just anything else that helps your damage or radius is going to be good. All right, and now we have the skill tree. First, I'll go over the skills. So for mobbing, I like to go Onslaughter as it gives increased movement speed, which is nice quality of life. Also gives a fire bonus element to our guns, which can be decent. And then I just go Pyroclast just because it's here, and thermal diffusion doesn't matter. So fills up our health and shield, pretty cool. And then a new choice I have here is going to be Crucible. Crucible can be used with the Tripwire Augment, and this will help us get back our ordnance fast if you end up using up all your ordnance. Doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen. Also, if you do like an action that makes it go on cooldown, then this is also really good. So it's very nice quality of life, and it just matters on your gameplay on if this will be helpful or not. And then for Scourge, we are going Firewall. For the projectile bonus, projectile speed's also nice, but not really a focus. The damage bonus here is a pure mult, so that is huge for bossing. They squeeze out some extra damage, and then it also works if projectiles then go through again. So like Hail Spike has those normal shots go through, but if those Merv orbs go through, it's also really nice. So a strat can be to place this on top of the boss if you use the Hail Spike. Compared to like regular bossing with it, you just put it out in front of you so you can then just shoot the enemy. I use Cryonic Thrum with it just because it's there, but it really doesn't matter. None of these are going to be good. I mean, technically Storm Lances there could be some fun damage, especially since Blackout is fixed, but again, not the focus. And then the actual skill tree, first we go Red Tree. This is just for Gut Punch. You could get 1 out of 3, but I go 3 out of 3. This damage bonus will double dip. Then we go Impetus. This is going to be for the movement speed, just nice quality of life. And then just to get down to Gut Punch, I go What Burns Within for the incendiary damage. If we're using a fire weapon, this is nice. Also buffs Onslaughter damage if we're using Onslaughter. Then we go Blue Tree here for most of it. We really need 3 skills, and then anything extra is either extra min-maxing damage or quality of life. So these 3 skills are going to be Tail the Comet for the double dipping status effect that gets skill damage. Then we have Blackout, which is a double dipping status effect, does not get skill damage. And then we go Primal Surge, which gives us infinite shield and ammo. So when going down the tree, we have Battle Board, which gives us gun damage up to 40% when health is full. And then this will go through Full Spectrum Arsenal to give us 20% extra ordnance damage. So that's one of the reasons why I don't go Scorch Kairos, is because I'm getting 2 damage foes, which ends up being like 60% compared to this 30%. Mag size is usually good for like DPS, but we're not reloading anyways, so the mag size here doesn't matter. Then I go Wrath of Nature to help Tail the Comet. It just helps it proc more often, so I go 5 points here. Then we get back to Tail the Comet, which is going to be with the double dipping. I have 10 out of 5, 120% damage per second. Then we go Machinist. This is just nice utility if your thing does go on cooldown. This helps. You just get some kills with like your gun or action skill. This may not be as useful if you're using Crucible plus Tripwire stuff, but I just take it anyways. Then we go Icy Rage. This will give us some gun damage, which can proc from the kill of Tail the Comet, or if our Ordnance gets the kill and it is Cryo. This gun damage will also go through Full Spectrum Arsenal for even more Ordnance damage. Then we go Primal Surge for the shield and ammo. We are constantly proccing status effects from our gun, or Tail the Comet, or a Blackout, so very easy to keep up. And then we go Age of Ice for the bonus with bosses, because this will double dip into both of these skills, so it's just consistent damage bonus. Then for the specialization, the main thing we are going for is going to be Full Spectrum Arsenal for the converting gun damage to ordnance damage, the best defense for getting a good damage bonus that double dips, and Fragmentation Payload mainly for the crit chance, but the crit damage is nice. The crit chance will increase our damage and also help with Blackout. Then we have our 4th option. You could go Riddle You This for good gun damage. Hail Spike keeps this up amazing. Honey Bunches, not as much. You could put this into Tripwire for getting back your ordnance better with the axes. You could go with Caffeine if you want to keep your axis skill up. This build does not need your axis skill up at all. And when we do, it's with like firewall stuff, which isn't your actual skill. Scourge being up actually doesn't matter. And then normally I would like sometimes go bullet train, but since we get decreased movement speed with heavy ordnance, this probably isn't as good, even with some movement speed buffs. Something I haven't messed with is in the zone, as this will increase our gun damage. This is probably good for bossing with the honey bunches, but I deal enough damage to where I haven't really needed to min-max it. But if you are needing the damage, this could be good with the honey bunches. And then the gameplay is really easy, especially for mobbing. So I'll just go over mobbing first with the hail spike, because that's my go-to. You're literally just shooting an enemy and you're dealing damage. With the hail spike with Pierce, you kind of want to jump and aim downwards or be higher up. And you literally just shoot like this. And I have seen up to like 50 million damage, and you see it's dealing a lot of damage right there. And that was with like mid-max stuff. I was dealing that much damage, so we're getting a lot done here. And then you can activate other stuff if you need to, but I really don't need to. Right, and then with bossing, you can just keep the hail spike, but I like to use the honey bunches for those cool, like quick melts. A difference on here is I am going to be using the protein cell with bossing. You could just use what's for dinner, but I don't here. So what you'll want to do is let's get out our file launcher. We're going to get up our forward skill and slam, and then we are going to shoot this. Bring out that, actually rep kit first, and then bring out this, charge up, and shoot. And you've got a lot of damage going there. It's not as high damage as Hail Spike, but it is like quick, fast damage and enough damage with enemy health bars. And then one last note I want to put, as I always do with this build, Heavy Ordnance is really finicky with movement. If you like use a rep kit, it puts your heavy ordnance away. If you melee, it'll put your ordnance away. Same with activating your action skill, your forward skill. Mantling does this. Literally like almost everything. Dashing doesn't, and gliding doesn't, thankfully. But if you are not at full ammo, this will put your ordnance on cooldown. If you go into fight for your life, though, it does not put your ordnance on cooldown, though. So that's nice for when you get back up. Just something to keep in mind and pay attention to your surroundings. If you learned something new, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 4 content, and consider becoming a member to support the channel and get videos early. Don't forget to check out the Mobility build write-up in the description, as it always has the most up-to-date version of the build. This could be minor tweaks or huge reworks. While I say this is the strongest Amon build, there is technically still the Raging Inferno plus Force of Nature tech found by Girthquake with gun build that I will soon cover, but it is a lot less practical and can be inconsistent. You also just don't need the damage. You'll see on my Amon build, I'm still killing enemies or like bosses in seconds. So I still consider this the best Amon build in the game. It's just a lot easier to do. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.